And on that note, Ying, about embracing the process, I'd love if you both can share a bit about your process when it comes to preparing to speak, and maybe if that's changed at all over time as well. It sounds like it's been a while since you both gave those first speaking engagements. And so how has that preparation process changed over time?
It's definitely changed, thank goodness. It doesn't take as long. I think one of the things that that I used to do was start straight on with the presentation and slides and start there. And then it would take so much longer because I was basically trying to start the process at the end and then work backwards from there. Now what I do is write. I actually write what I want to say as if I was writing an essay, and that helps a lot with the content and also the structure and eliminating things that are like actually not needed. And then from there I move to, okay, what would a presentation would look like? What anecdotes can I insert here and there? And then at the very end, it's like the actual visuals of the presentation. So I think being patient with the process and making sure that you're giving it enough time, because at the same time, even though I was doing the process perhaps backwards early on in my public speaking journey, I feel like those steps were also needed. Like making those mistakes in the process are needed and then part of your growth, because there's not one process to public speaking. And so making those mistakes is part of your own process to figure out what will be the right process for you.
That was lovely, Paula. In my case, I'm kind of a little bit opposite. I think in picture instead of words. So if you ask me to write, I will go completely blank. I'll be like, oh my God, it's intimidating. Where do I start? It's a blank page. And often I think people also do a lot of speaking writing, right? They do the little speech. I think it's actually helpful. For me, I think probably many of you, if you're designers, you think visually. I found this very helpful. Over the time, I realized that it is actually helpful for me to started to collect visuals I wanted to show in my talk, especially because I will be showing a lot of design work. And often I think that when I have the actual examples as visual examples and then put it in the slides, the story kind of unfolds itself, because I started to find a narrative and a pattern of what like the design thinking process or ideology behind each project. And I can started to see, oh, wow, I can start to formulate different talking points by summarize the actual project and figure out which project represent which takeaway. Because I think it is also important for us as speakers, because we're communicating ideas. It's not about what we want to say, it's about what the audience want to hear. So you have to tailor your final product. In this case, your speech is your final product according to how this could be helpful to your target audience. So we kind of design it in a way sort of it's user-centric. So you're kind of looking at, okay, this talk is going to be covering these points, and I'm going to use these examples to illustrate these points. And that's why, like in my case, I think visuals are super helpful for me to categorize my thoughts in a very, it's almost like a mind map, kind of like, we all know like the ideal note stickers, you put it on the whiteboard, it's the same idea. I think when we're doing slideshow talk, I think it's the visual ad is so important. The other thing I think it's also very helpful in terms of listing out the talking points. And finally, I do find it is also helpful to practice this in front of your friends and family so that you can get the blind spot, because people often will give you some ideas or new insights that you don't know because you know what you know. Well, you know what you don't know, but you don't know what you don't know. That's where your friends and family and other audience will give you these blind spots, and that's going to help you to improve over time for sure.
Something that you said, Yiying, reminded me that that it is a process, and you could use your design process for it as well. And just like when designing any other product, there's no one way for it to be successful. So whether it's post-its, slides, writing, brainstorming with your friends, however you want to craft your process, that's going to give you the successful result. That's what you need to do. And it might take some trial and error. So yeah, definitely I agree with you, Yiying.
Absolutely. Yeah. And one more thing I think you just reminded me is do smaller talks, like Petra Kucha style, 20 slides, 20-second each, or Ignite talk, 20 slides, 15-second each. It's always so helpful when you started to do it in small steps, small chunks. It's going to be a lot of fun to do it because it's not a lot of pressure. So that's another way of the process I would recommend.
Fantastic. Thank you both.